So it was very recently announced that there was going to be several new superheroes introduced into the MCU. Now, what sorts of characters do you think they could introduce? Well, with the fact that they now own 20th Century Fox, they could bring something in like the X-Men, or they could bring in maybe the Fantastic Four, or some other well-known superhero. Now that would logically make sense, but of course, just when you thought the MCU couldn't become any more woke, Disney have somehow managed to pull a Rian Johnson and subvert our expectations. Instead of the Fantastic Four or the X-Men, instead Disney have introduced She-Hulk, Miss Marvel and Moon Knight. In other words, superheroes you probably only know a little bit, or are probably heroes you've never even heard of. So these three new superheroes that are going to be in the MCU apparently are going to be TV series that are going to be put on the new streaming service that Disney very recently announced and is soon to be released soon, Disney+. So let's talk about the one you probably know most about, which is She-Hulk. So in a nutshell, you should kind of be able to know who she is, what her powers are, and things like that with her name itself. Basically, she's just a female version of the Hulk. She may have some slight differences, but she is practically the same. She-Hulk is the alter ego of Jennifer Walters, a lawyer and Bruce Banner's cousin who transforms into She-Hulk after receiving a blood transfusion from Banner. Unlike Bruce Banner's Hulk, She-Hulk can control her emotions, but is almost permanently in her She-Hulk persona. So, minor differences, but in a nutshell, it's going to be the same kind of Hulk. And it is kind of obvious what they are very likely going to be doing with this female adaptation of the Hulk that they are bringing in. They're going to replace the male Hulk. Now, if you remember the Hulk from the Avengers Infinity War and the Endgame, you will remember that they practically castrated the Hulk in that film. They completely changed what the Hulk was about. And in Endgame, I believe they completely ruined the character. They completely changed the Hulk from what he actually is supposed to be. I don't care if there may have been some comic adaptations of the Hulk being a scientist. It's not the Hulk we know, and ultimately I don't believe it worked in the Endgame. And with the fact that they have seemed to have made some major changes to the original Hulk, the Hulk we all know and love, it only makes sense that they bring in this female Hulk, who I wouldn't be surprised if she's more intelligent, much smarter, is overall much stronger, and much more stunning and brave than the Hulk we all know and love. Hulk smashed the patriarchy, am I right? Now let's get the second superhero that was confirmed for Disney+, Miss Marvel. Now, with the name alone, you'd think that this is a superhero that's going to be related, or maybe a sidekick or something like that, to Captain Marvel, another superhero who was kind of shoehorned into the MCU to push woke politics, but believe it or not, she's actually not related to Captain Marvel at all, as far as I'm aware. A new Disney Plus series is in the works featuring Miss Marvel. According to THR, they say it will be based on the acclaimed award-winning comic series starring Kamala Khan, who takes inspiration from Captain Marvel to become Miss Marvel. The comic, originally spearheaded by Muslim writer G. Willow Wilson, is notable for featuring Marvel's first headlining Muslim superhero. Just what everyone wanted. As Miss Marvel, Kamala's powers revolve around shapeshifting, allowing her to stretch, embiggen, and temporarily shapeshift. She has origins as an Inhuman in the comics. Again, it's another superhero that nobody's ever heard of, probably no one cares about. Another superhero who probably has very few fans. And also being connected to Captain Marvel or being inspired by Captain Marvel doesn't help either. Now let's have a look at the third superhero that was announced, Moon Knight. This is probably the only somewhat interesting one. It's another one that I don't particularly know, and I don't know if you know them either, but ultimately it's probably the only interesting superhero out of all of them. It's certainly the one that seems the least SJW out of all of them that have been announced. The series will focus on mercenary Mark Spector, who's left for dead in the Egyptian desert and saved by the moon god Khonshu. Even as Mark returns home and becomes a costumed crime fighter, the series will explore whether he's truly empowered by Khonshu or simply insane. So, you have an interesting concept here. You could do some interesting stuff with this, But ultimately, with the fact that this is coming from SJW Disney and it's going to be on Disney Plus as well, I don't really have much hope for it, with the fact that they're very likely going to be pushing some type of SJW politics in this as well. Don't get me wrong, if you actually had some talented writers that could come up with some original concept stories, or, you know, something original with the current writers that we have that are more interested in pushing politics these days over telling a good story, I simply don't have much hope for it. So ultimately, with these 3 superheroes that have been announced by Disney and are going to be on the Disney Plus show, all I've got to say is I'm simply just not interested in the MCU at this point in the slightest. If Disney truly wants to keep fans interested, the last thing I believe they should be doing is bringing in all of these new superheroes that nobody's ever heard of, or their comics probably sold badly, and things like that. What they should be doing is probably bringing in more well-known heroes, and don't bring in superheroes like Lady Thor, another superhero nobody asked for. But at this point, like I've said before, I believe the Marvel Universe has peaked, and I believe that these new superheroes that they're bringing in that are clearly just here to push SJW politics are probably only going to bring down the MCU further. Even though the MCU peaked with the Avengers Endgame and Infinity War films, I believe it's going to kind of go downhill from here. It probably won't happen straight away, but maybe 2 years from now, it probably will. We'll just have to see. But I don't think bringing in new superheroes like these that nobody has ever heard of is going to actually resolve that. But anyway, people, be sure to let us know what you think about these superheroes down below. What are your opinions on the likes of Moonlight, She-Hulk, or Miss Marvel? Be sure to let us know what you think about this down below, alright? Okay, people, this video is now coming to an end. Be sure to subscribe, and don't forget to follow me on Twitter as well. I'm regularly active on there. And I will see you again. Cheerio.